Goldfish here, and today I would like to share with you on what to feed your goldfish. As you guys know, this is my first video which I'm speaking, so I hope that you will like it. Well, it always comes to new goldfish hobbies mind when they first start to keep goldfish. Practically, what do you feed your goldfish? So well, there are many different type of food that you can feed your goldfish, and today I will be sharing with you what type of food I actually recommend and what type of food there are out in the market. Please take note that I do not get sponsored for recommending these items, and this is just my recommendations, so I hope that you will like it. Thank you. First up is the commercial pellets, and as you know, these are the commercial foods which are commonly sold in the markets, which includes pellets and flakes. So now I'll start with the pellets first. Well, there are many pellets out there which I really recommend and which are really good out there, but then the ones that I find that are most suitable for my goldfish is the Saki Curry brand. And for the Saki Curry brand, there are actually many types of foods for different type of goldfish, and as you can see, this one is for the baby goldfish. This one, actually both of them is to enhance the color. So well, what I really love about this food is that firstly, it is pretty cheap, it's pretty affordable depending on how much your country sells. And that the second thing that I love about this food is that the size variations that they have for different type of food. For example, this baby pellet, as you can see, it has smaller pellet size, and the sinking pellet, enhancing diet color food, the pellet size is, although it's bigger, but then it's not that big also. And lastly, the floating enhancing color diet, which pellet is pretty large for goldfish. So as you can see down here, here is a size variation. This is a baby diet, this is the color enhancing sinking pellet, and this is the color enhancing floating pellet. Well, one thing to note is that I find that with goldfish you should, or any type of fish, you should feed them the smaller pellets. The smaller it is, I think it is the better, but you do not want to go too small, as the fish may not be able to find for the food. But to me, I find that it is easier for the food to actually go through the fish's body easier, and that it is just easier for the fish to digest easily. Also, maybe just now you've heard that I've said that there are sinking pellets and floating pellets. Well, these two are actually sinking pellets. The enhancing color and the baby diet, while this normal one is the floating pellet. Well, one thing that I love about the floating one thing I love about the sinking pellet is that with goldfish, you do not want goldfish to actually come up to the surface and gulp for air. This is because it's a very bad habit for them, and that they might actually get SBD, known as swim bladder disorder, in the long term. So you do not want them to come up to the surface and gulp. And yeah, with sinking pellets, it's actually to make your fish to be used to not coming up to the surface to gulp for air, unless there is like electric shortage in which your filter or pump does not work. So yeah, if other than that, the goldfish should actually not come up to the surface and gulp for air, as it is not a very good thing to do. So out of these three pellets, I would not really recommend this color enhancing diet. But one thing I've known for over the years is that if you, example, you have a planted goldfish tank, it is better to it's a debatable question on which type of food you should give, whether sinking or floating pellets. This is because in a planted goldfish tank, especially heavily planted goldfish tank, and to have goldfish which are very clumsy little fishes, they do not really find all the food at one time, although even though they always love to eat. So while this uneaten food at the bottom of the tank can actually be eaten by parasites, and they may actually even have bacteria over a certain period of time left uneaten, which is really very bad for the water quality in the tank, and it really fouls up the water. So while for such situations, people may actually say that floating pellets are actually better than sinking pellets, which I have to say that it is quite true also. So it is depending on what you want, because both food have their pros and cons, and that I even though I prefer the sinking pellets, well, as in I also sometimes love the floating pellets, but just to take note, don't feed your goldfish floating pellets, as in if you want to feed them, I think it's best to feed them these sinking pellets. Just remember to take them out into a small holding container and just feed them there, and then put them back into a tank so that the water in the tank does not get fouled out, or also that they can eat and none of the food is left untreated, like not touched at all for long periods of time for bacteria to grow on them. So you can see that for the sake curry pellets, well, there are many ingredients used in it, which is why I really recommend it. For these floating pellets, you can see that there's fish meal, potato starch, wheat germ, and so on and so forth. And I think that this really is good for a goldfish because it has a more balanced diet than what normal fish would have, and I'll be showing you them in a while's time. So yeah, this is the normal goldfish pellets that you would find. This is the floating type of pellets, and yeah, you can see that this is sold for $6.50 in Singapore, but this was a few years ago, and this was what I used to feed my goldfish when I started the hobby, and you know that it is not really a good thing to feed your goldfish. Well, I'm going to show the pellet size right now. So well, now you can see that this is the baby pellet, the enhancing sinking pellet, the color enhancing floating pellet, and the goldfish tetra pellet. And you see that this is the largest one, while this is the smallest one. So it is not really good for your goldfish, and I don't really like the way that how your goldfish is going to digest such a big food into its intestine. So one thing you can actually try is to actually soak the food in water for a while before you feed your goldfish, so that the food actually softens up and it's easier to pass through the goldfish digestive tract. So well, I do not really like this diet, this type of food, which is because of, if you see the ingredients used for this type of commercial foods, well, it does not really consist of much ingredients than the sake curry pellets, and also it does not have sinking pellets, and the floating pellets are pretty big, so even with big fish, it's not really good to feed them such big pellets. Well, here's another type of floating pellet which I used to use but not now. Well, the second type of food that is commercially sold in the market is known as flakes, and as this picture shows, it is this type of flakes. Well, because I don't have any flakes right now, so yeah, I'm showing you on the phone. So I do not really recommend these flakes because firstly, they are very thin and crusty, so they actually float on the top of the water, and that like what I said with the pellets, when it floats on water, the goldfish has to come up and gulp on the surface, on the water surface, which actually may lead to SBD in the long term. So it's not a really good thing to feed them flakes. And also flakes are very thin, so they really get sort of dissolved in water pretty easily. So it's not really good to be feeding goldfish with flakes. Although they are very popular because when you ask people what do goldfish eat, they usually reply flakes, because that is the only thing that really comes into anyone's mind, because it's so commercial and it's very common. It's more, actually it's as common as pellets, but then people usually think of flakes first. So I don't really recommend such foods, so you should really avoid them. Well, other than the commercial foods that are usually sold, well, there are other type of foods to feed a goldfish, and one of them are algae wafers or discs, and this is just one of the many types of algae wafers that are being sold in the commercial. Yeah, so it's pretty good, but it is, to be honest, it's not really needed for goldfish, because it's not really important for their diet, and it is more of an extra than what they really need. So you do not need to feed them this every day, maybe once or twice a week. And yeah, this is pretty good because, well, you can see, okay, it's down here, it's like that. So it actually sticks onto the aquarium's glass, so that you can see your fish coming up to eat it, and it's very hard also. So, it takes about 2 hours for the fish to consume this. Any longer, you should certainly take it out from your tank to prevent the falling out in the water. And I don't really find this as needed as the pellets that I use, because to be honest, really, this is just an extra, as in it is just a treat for your goldfish. But then this is also the Saki Hikari brand. Yeah, so it's pretty good, and like you can see down here, it is made of different type of plant material, and is very good for herbivore species. And as you know, goldfish are omnivores, so they do need like a herbivore and carnivore diet from time to time, and so it is pretty good to feed them such food. Just note that, as in, if you want to feed them, do take note that this may foul up water if you leave it untreated in the water also. So it is best to set a timer, or keep a close lookout on how the aquarium is doing, and if you find that it is starting to fall up the water, do note to take it out. But then so far I have not heard about anything on this food falling up the water that badly yet. So yeah, I think this is pretty good and is pretty cool. But if you're keeping snails and the pleco suckers, I recommend this food, as it literally sinks onto the bottom of the tank, and it's very good for them, especially for shy fish to come out, eat, and nibble on them. So yeah, this is a pretty nice food that I would also recommend. Okay, so as you see the ingredients, there are many ingredients like the sake curry also. Okay, well this is a brand from sake curry too, and like you can see spirulina, garlic, and all these things, and spirulina and krill meal are very good for the enhancing goldfish color, because it actually deepens the color of the fish. So this is a brand that I really like, and it's also pretty cheap. Yeah, so you may want to try this out too. Well, the third type of food is gel food, and well, I have not tried this by myself, but then there is this type of food known as the ripashi, and this one is a soylent green. This is a pick from Solid Gold, which is a hobbyist that really loves to keep butterfly goldfish just like I do, and she really made me interested in joining the goldfish community on Instagram. So yeah, you can actually check her videos out. It is called Solid Goldfish by Jenny, and yeah, she actually shows a tutorial on how to actually make ripashi, because here in Singapore we do not sell ripashi for now, and the ones that are sold are sort of expired already, so I can't get my hands on them now. So here's just a pig reference. Well, there are many types of gel food type. This is the super green, and this one is very good for this one has more plant protein than the Soylent Green one, which has more animal protein, if that's what I heard correctly. There's many types of varieties of ripashi that is being sold. So they actually look like that once you're done. So they're actually gel food, and they are very good for goldfish, because the thing with gel food is that they are very soft, and they can, like what I've said earlier on with the pellets, the smaller pellets are able to be digested much easier than larger pellets. So by having softer foods like ripashi, which is a gel food, it is easier for the goldfish to digest their food much more easier. And also if you want to actually make your own homemade gel food, although you may be able to make the gel food by yourself by using pure gelatin and many different type of ingredients from your different type of fruits, veggies, and stuff like that, but then you may not get the exact proportions on how much the food content is. So by having ripashi, it actually helps and saves a lot of time, and is very easy to make. This is what I heard from many goldfish hobbies, and what they really recommend, although I've not tried it by myself yet. So I would really love to try this in the future. So well, the second thing for gel food is, the first one is breeder prepared, which is ripashi. The second type is homemade gel food. So like just now what I said, you can actually blend up a lot of stuff, but to make your own homemade gel food and feed your goldfish, but it may not have the necessary contents inside to actually provide your goldfish to have a healthy diet. So I would really recommend you trying ripashi, because it is much more much more better than your homemade gel food. So well, I did try homemade gel food before. Like what I said, is made up of gelatin, and whatever you want to put in, you just put many varieties of food inside, as many as you can think of. And then you just mix it up and just let it cool down first. So maybe in the near future I will show a tutorial on how to prepare your own homemade gel food. But for now, I am focusing on curing my goldfish from dropsy. So that is not really my concern now to make homemade gel food. So yeah, so maybe in the near future. So if you want me to make a tutorial on how to make homemade gel food for goldfish, you can leave it in the description comment below, and maybe I may do a video of that in the future. So well, there are also fish fried food I can see down here, and there are many types of fish fried food. There can be like frozen bloodworms, brine shrimp. No, not frozen bloodworms. Fish fried bloodworms, brine shrimp, and as you can see down here, what I have now is freeze dried shrimp. So here is how it looks like. Down here's a closer look. Okay, and you can see it is very hard to and crispy, and not really very good to feed your goldfish, because it really contains a lot of air inside, which if you compare to a human food, it is more like french fries or your deep fried stuff. And yeah, it's not really good for your goldfish. And also, if you compare to the sizes of the food, this is the floating pellets enhancing goldfish pellet by Saki Curry, and this is the freeze dried bloodworms. So yeah, you can see that the difference is really very big. And one thing I do not like about this food is that, as you can see, there are really like legs, and for the shrimps they have fillers, so it is really, I don't really like it to be inside my goldfish digestive system, as I find that it really is very difficult for them to digest. And yeah, as in, I do not really like these freeze dried bloodworms, even though they are expensive. Like you can see down here, $193. It is not really that good to feed freeze dried food to your goldfish, as like what I said, it contains a lot of air. So it is no difference from feeding them flakes and floating pellets than feeding fish dried food, as it is the same thing. Once the fish digests the fish dried food, the air actually is being trapped inside the goldfish body, which will also lead to SBD. So it's not really a good thing. And one thing I've also heard is that with this food, to actually freeze dry them is actually a very bad thing, as it takes out all the natural contents that the products of the shrimp, bloodworms and brine shrimp actually contained previously when they were alive. So it's literally like junk food. Like, you can feed it, but then it's not a really good thing to keep feeding them this food. And I really do not recommend this food to anyone who wants to keep any type of fish, like goldfish especially, as there's not really any benefits, and there are more cons than pros to feed them such food. Okay, the next one is veggies. Okay, I spelled it wrongly. It's VEGGIES, not with one more G down here. Yeah, so that's my mistake. So yeah, well, you can feed a lot, like practically almost any type of vegetables to goldfish, like broccoli, cauliflower, spinach, and other types of vegetables to your goldfish. Just remember to like microwave them for about a few seconds, just so that, as in, it softens up the food and it actually cooks the veggie so that it's edible for goldfish to eat. And yeah, your goldfish may not respond to it for the first time, but after some time, once they realize that it's actually food, they will actually start to eat it. well, even though it didn't succeed with my goldfish, so I'm not really pretty sure about feeding veggies to them, so I rather stick to sake curry as my main diet. Well, so the next food is frozen food, and well, there are many types of frozen food, like just now what I said, brine shrimp, Mrs. shrimp, there are even bloodworms and other types. I think those are the main three. Yeah, so this is produced by Hikari, the same brand, which is why I really love the brand Sake Hikari, because they produce a lot of different types of food for the goldfish and other types of fish, whether it is for tropical or marine fish. While this food can be fed for both types of species of fish, tropical and for marine fish too. So well, this is like purely made up of brine shrimp, while that one is made up purely from Mrs. shrimp. And yeah, so what you need to do is to actually, once you take them out, just quickly rinse them in water to just wash them off and clean them off first, and then you can just feed it to your goldfish. But one thing that I do not like about this food is that they really foul up your water like almost immediately, so it is best to take them out into a holding tank and then feed them such food, because it really will foul up your water, and uneaten food will really have a lot of bacteria on them, which is not good for your goldfish tank, and your goldfish may die from the pollution of what this food actually gave, because it really gives a lot of waste and excess products to your aquarium. So if you want to feed this, remember to only just feed them inside a holding tank. So just take out your goldfish and then put them inside a holding tank. You can just feed them. Once you're done, you can put them back into the aquarium. So yeah, other than that, this Hikari frozen food are really very good, just that you need to store them in the freezer, and that, as you can see, is pure brine shrimp with some other ingredients. And I really think that this type of foods are very good in enhancing goldfish diet, goldfish color, and yeah, they are actually very good for all-rounded goldfish food, although they are not really that necessary and may tend to be more expensive than normal goldfish commercial foods in the market. So here's a video on how this particular food actually react when they are in water, and yeah, you can actually see that whether they really sink or float in the water, and which one I really recommend. So yeah, I'm going to try it out with the baby diet. Yeah, this one by Saki Curry. Okay, so here are the pellets, and I'm going to throw them in. Okay, you can see like practically almost all the, okay, not almost all. It's good to actually stir the food like that, so that they actually sink. Like you can see at the bottom, it's already sinking. So yeah, practically almost all of them sink, which is a good thing for what I would find for a good goldfish food, because it sinks. So yeah, you can see it really sinks down here like that. So yeah, that is the baby diet. So yeah,